Most days, she could get out of bed. Today was different. Her body felt heavy, anchored down. She focused on breathing. Not yet. Please, she thought. Today is not the day. She scanned the room, searching for something to hold on to, something to pull herself free from this trap. There was nothing. She remembered other days when everything felt easy. She let a few tears fall. Then, with a sigh, she let her body detach, rise, and move into the day. She would stay here, in the dark, waiting for it to return in the evening. Today was the day, after all.
He cheated. She took the kids and walked into the blizzard raging outside. The wind turning her tears to ice. I'll take you to Mommy's secret place, she whispered, pulling them close as they shivered. She remembered the night she'd saved him from dying in the snow. He'd begged her to stay and she'd fallen in love. She had only one condition, but she'd known this was coming. In every other version of the story, she leaves the kids behind. Not in this one. When morning comes and the storm clears, no one will find them.
Messages from God arrived in small purple envelopes, each holding a brief order. Marry her. Move to Minnesota. Name your son John. Go there. Meet that person. Nothing spectacular. Most of his life, he obeyed them. But lately, he'd started slipping, procrastinating, postponing. He put all the non-urgent orders in one envelope, which grew quite thick. One day, his son Johnny found the envelope while working on a school project and turned the notes into a collage now displayed proudly on their fridge. Soon after, a red envelope arrived. Burn, the card read, and erupted into flames that consumed him instantly.
I've been scared of the forests in our backyard ever since I was a little kid. My mom often visited it, returning with mushroom and blueberries, but I would never venture in. I feared that if I set my foot in the forest even once, it'd swallow me whole and never let me go. When I grew older, I moved to the city, and when the wall was raised and we couldn't leave the metropolis anymore, I realized that my childhood fear was right. I'm a prisoner of the urban jungle. Oh, how I long for the trees.
Only a familiar voice called out. How long has it been? 20 years. A chubby, middle-aged woman rushed toward him. Doris, he recalled. What are yours? She said, gripping his hand. His partner's eyes sent daggers her way. Then his, Doris' eye, he muttered, trying to pull her aside. And this must be the missus, she said, shaking his partner's reluctant hand. Security guards noticed them and ushered the vice president out the nearest exit. Months of planning gone, all because of this coincidence. You don't really believe in coincidences, Lord? Doris whispered as he lost his consciousness. drug.
The last leaf fell, unseen. A little girl found it, parsed it in a notebook, and kept it as a bookmark for decades. When her daughter turned 8, she asked about it, and her mother told her stories of trees and oceans once taken for granted. Years later, on her deathbed, she passed the leaf to her granddaughter as a cherished memento. Encased in resin, it would travel through generations, become an antique, and even adorn a millionaire's wall. After a few centuries, an archaeologist would unearth it, and it would find a place in a museum, barely noticed among grander relics.
Dear Father, I'm so sad that I won't be coming home for the home wind. The air is too heavy to carry me back to you. Brenda completed her transformation last month and moved to the upper floor of the complex. I miss her, but I miss you more. They say that if I don't start the process on my own by year's end, they'll need to induce it, and I'm scared. Last week, I saw a girl's induced transformation fail. It was heartbreaking. If they delivered this letter to you, it means that my transformation failed too, and
most of the time, she was almost content with her life. Only a few things were missing. If she could add them, everything would be perfect. The sprinkled box brand promised exactly that. Add some sprinkles to your life. The tagline read. The process was less glamorous than the promise. Scanning, analyzing, packaging. It took forever, but finally, it was ready. A tiny jar of digital sprinkles appeared on her phone screen. She just had to log in once. She took a deep breath, cut, and tapped the screen with her bloody finger. The perfect life quietly closed in around her.
When the air feels too heavy, I go to the forest. The forest welcomes me with its open branches. I lie on the grass and let the roots coil over me as my body slowly sinks into the moss and rich wet soil. In the dark I meet God and have long conversations with her. Sometimes she holds me in her earthy embrace. Other times she stays distant and wary. Yet each time I find solace in her presence and leave the forest a new person. The trees whisper their goodbyes as I return to the world of the living.
Yeah, I used to talk to God when I was younger. He stopped answering when I got sober. I guess he figured I could fend for myself after that. Do I miss it? No, not really. It was mostly nagging, yelling, the occasional barking. Honestly, I'd rather talk to my cat. No offense. And no, I will not buy a subscription service. 20 minutes with God every month is 22 minutes for me. Try the neighbor next door. She's been singing to herself a lot lately. Nice voice, he might appreciate that. Please don't come back.
Lena had been singing to herself more and more lately. The songs came to her in dreams, growing stranger and stranger over time. Eventually, she bought recording equipment and began capturing them, sharing them online wherever she could. She reached out to different communities asking for help in making sense of the melodies and harmonies. Theories poured in, numerous and often contradictory, but none brought her any clarity, so she just kept singing. In her last dream, Lena heard a sigh, as if someone had turned away from her in disappointment. After that, the world went silent.